Hi, this is Priyanka, and I welcome you all to Srijan Wednesday webinars. For those of you who are attending for the first time, this is a community initiative by Srijan Technologies. As a part of this initiative, we host webinars every alternate Wednesdays. We get experts from a variety of different domains who talk on subjects like front-end technologies, UI/UX, mobile apps, media, entrepreneurship, community building, digital marketing, and many more. Today we will learn about Drupal Console, which is a suite of tools that you run on a command line interface to help you manage the complexity of Drupal 8. We will explore how Drupal Console can help you implement and take advantage of the modern PHP practices introduced into Drupal 8. I would request all participants to please type in any questions that you have during the presentation, and we'll take them up in the last 15 minutes of this webinar. I would now like to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. We have with us Jesus Manuel Olivas. Jesus is a Drupal 8 solutions engineer at FFW Agency. He is an open source technologies enthusiast with special interest in the PHP community, mostly in Drupal 8 and Symfony 2. He has been working with Drupal since 2009 and developing Symfony 2 applications since 2012. He is the co-host of a Drupal, Symfony, and web-related technologies podcast in Spanish called the Drupal Podcast. He is also the Drupal Console project maintainer. Thank you, Jesus, for joining us today. While you get hooked onto Jesus' presentation, don't forget to take this conversation live on Twitter using our hashtag SrijanWW. You can share your thoughts by tagging us and Jesus in your tweets using our handles @Srijan and @JMOlivas. So without taking up any more time, let's get started. Jesus, over to you.
Well, welcome to the webinar. Thank you for coming here. And before starting the webinar, I'd like to start running a poll.
So we'll keep the poll open for another 20 seconds so that everybody can fill in. Okay, so we have the results now. I'll just quickly share the results.
Awesome.
All right, so I think we should get started.
Yeah, how should I go back to my... Yeah, now it's back, right? Okay, again, so welcome to the webinar, and the webinar name is Faster and Smarter Development with Drupal Console. And first, let's talk about me. My name is Jesus Manuel Olivas. I'm a Drupal 8 Solutions Engineer, and I work for the FFW company, formerly known as Blink Reaction and Pro People. You can find me on Twitter and any other social network as JMOLIVAS. You can also find me on tweeting using the Drupal Console and Drupal Podcast handlers on Twitter. And now let's start with the topic of the day. I will explain you what is the Drupal Console. Well, the Drupal Console is a suite of tools that you can run on the CLI to generate boilerplate code and interact with the Drupal installation. And yes, I know this sounds a tool you already know, and it's called Rush, but I will show you the similitudes and differences during this presentation. Before jumping into the next slide, I want to clarify one important point. Drupal Console is not a Drupal module. Drupal Console is a Symfony application. The Drupal Console application takes advantage of Symfony Console component and other third-party libraries. And Drupal Console has been built to utilize the same modern PHP practices which were introduced with Drupal 8. Well, this project was started back in 2013 by David Flores and myself. We are both from Mexico. But as the project started getting some traction, two other developers joined us to help in maintain it. Omar Aguirre, another developer from Mexico, and Eduardo Garcia, a Colombian developer living in Costa Rica. Well, I want to take some time to say thanks to the agency sponsoring and supporting this project. Well, FFW, the company I work for, is sponsoring some of my time so I can spend working on this, contributing to this project. Idava, a web developer agency in Mexico, sponsoring David's contribution. Annexus IT, Drupal Shop in Costa Rica is sponsoring Enzo or Eduardo Garcia contributions, and the only one living in the wild is Omar Aguirre. So he's basically spending his free time, free nights for working on this project. Well, now that I told you who is maintaining this project, I will tell you why you should care about this. Why you should care about Drupal Console. Well, Drupal 8 is more technically advanced compared to previous versions. In managing the increasing complexity of Drupal 8 could be a daunting task for anyone. The Drupal Console is a suite of tools that can help you managing that complexity. Because writing a Drupal 8 module now involves a lot of boilerplate code. And there is a lot you need to know just to get started with a new module. I will list some differences between Drupal 8 and 7 related to writing a module. First, Drupal 8 is object-oriented versus Drupal 7, which is mostly procedural. In Drupal 8, each class will need a namespace and must be created within a specific directory on your file system. Each class must include other classes defined within their own namespace. Each class could extend or implement another classes. Drupal 8 takes advantage of external libraries, mostly from the Symfony project. Drupal 8 uses YAML files for configuration. Drupal 8 uses plugins, which provide reusable pieces of functionality. And the last one, Drupal 8 uses PHP annotations. And the Drupal 8 plugin system uses them to describe plugins, and those annotations are used by Drupal to discover your plugin. How this project can help you to solve or to manage that complexity? Well, the main goal of Drupal Console is to help you developing faster and smarter with Drupal 8. But how this will be happening? Well, first, Drupal Console can help you generate the code and files required by the Drupal 8 module. Drupal Console provides a number of commands for creating modular scaffolding in boilerplate code. For each command, you will be asked a series of questions about what you want to generate. Second, Drupal Console allows you to interact with your Drupal installation, from rebuilding cache, installing modules, debugging the system, listing routes or configurations and services, and can also help you to interact with the configuration management. And third, you can use Drupal 8 Console for learning Drupal 8, because you can inspect the generated code. But it's not only that. We are providing you with an option similar to examples module that will be not only generating code, we're also generating commented blocks of code explaining you what this code is doing. Well, at this point, you might be asking yourself, where do I find this? Where do I find this project? I'll tell you. You can get this project or find more information just by visiting the project landing page, drupalconsole.com. In this landing page, you will find information and links about documentation and how to get support. Now, let me show you how to download and use Drupal Console project. There are different ways to get the project on your local machine, but my recommendation for getting this project is by using the installer we provide. So you can install Drupal Console locally by running the installer in your project directory. The installer will take care of downloading the necessary files to run Drupal Console on your computer. The installer script will simply check some PHP INI settings and warn you if there's some missing configuration, but don't worry about it. This is only for building the project, so if you see a message, don't get scared about it. And we'll also take care of downloading the latest console.far file in the current directory. Once the file is downloaded, you can use it as a local file just by typing php space console.far. But if you want to access Drupal Console from anywhere in your system, you need to move to a global accessible path. In this example, I'm moving the executable far file to user local bin Drupal, and uses a note. The name Drupal is just an alias. It's just an alias. You can name it anything you want. I moved to a global accessible path because I want to just type Drupal from anywhere in my system and be able to run the Drupal Console project. Another way of getting the project is by using Composer. So you can install this project using Composer global root by command. Same as the installer example, you may want to access this globally. In this case, you need to add a binary directory to your class path. I'm providing a link to the Gitbook documentation project, where you can see more information about how to make this globally accessible. Another way of getting the project is by using the awesome Drupal Composer project. The Drupal Composer project is a Composer template for Drupal projects. You can use this with a Composer create command. This template will take care of downloading Drupal 8, Drush, Drupal Console, and other tools. And probably you can also take advantage of a virtual machine to provide the LAMP stack, plus Drupal 8, Drush, Console, and other tools too. I'm listing 2 of the boxes that I know are currently including Drupal Console in their configuration. Now let's talk about updating the project. Now that I mentioned how to download the project, I will tell you how you can get the latest version that we just released. Drupal 8 is under heavy development, and to keep in step with the latest changes, the easiest and recommended way of updating the console, the Drupal console, is by using the self-update command we provide. So the only thing you need to do is just type Drupal, which is the alias that I assigned. I just did assign when downloading the project and moving to a global accessible path. So Drupal, and then the command self-update. So that's the only thing you need to do in order to get the latest version of the project. Now that I show you how to download and keep in sync with the latest releases, I will show you what can you do with the project. Remember what I told you about Drupal Console providing you a number of commands for creating a scaffolding and boilerplate code? I will show you how this looks like. In order to extend Drupal, we need to add a module. And now I will show you how Drupal Console can help you on this task. As you can see here, we are using the interactive mode, where the user can provide the basic information. In the interactive mode, the console project can start asking you a few questions, and you can give their answers. In this particular case, as we are generating a module, the information requested is the module name, module description, package, and some other information related to the module. We can also see a report with the generated and updated file list at the bottom. So this is telling me which files were modified, either created, generated, or updated when this generation was run. As a result of this, we have a fully functional mode, and it's ready to use in your Drupal 8 installation. Other component you will be requiring a lot within contributed modules is a configuration form. Let's go ahead and see how this looks like. Same as in the previous example, I'm showing you the interactive mode. Well, I want to stop for a minute, for a second, and just to have a note. All the commands that you run from Drupal Console, in order to see all of the available commands in the project, you must run this within the root of your D8 site. Again, you must run the Drupal Console project within the root of your Drupal 8 site. Okay, let's keep going with the form generation. As I mentioned, same as in the previous example, I will show you the interactive mode. What you need to generate a form. So what do you need to generate a Drupal form? You need a route, a form, and some field definitions. Well, all those features are added by the generator. As you can see here, if you answer yes to do you want to generate a form structure question, you will be asked to add fields. And thus, you will be able to select the field type using your arrow keys for auto-completing. The generated form included an integration with the configuration system in order to store the user input values when submitting the form. So this is the interactive generation, but let's take a look at how this code looks like. Let's take a look at the routing definition first. In order to use a form, we need to provide a route for it. Drupal Console creates for you the routing definition and use the proper configuration to specify that the target is a form class. And the value is the name of the class that we just generated. When I say class, I mean the form class that we just generated. This routing will allow us to access the form using our browser. In Drupal 8, form definitions functions are grouped together inside a class. This class must be defined in a specific namespace. As we can see here, we have the namespace definition was added by the generator. And this file must be created in a proper directory. As we see on the left side, this class was created on the proper directory. And also, the generator command also added the required usage statement in order to extend the proper class. So all the code that you are seeing here is only boilerplate code that you won't be changing. So the generator is taking care of adding all that for you. Remember what I mentioned about the generated input files, the generated input fields. So the fields are form API compliant. So as you can see, what you can see here is it's the two fields we added on the generator, on the generation part, are listed here with the field type that we just defined while generating them. And finally, Drupal Console also generates the integration with the configuration management in order to save the user input. As you can see here, we have the validate form function added and also the submit form. And within the submit form code, you can see all the values are stored in the configuration system when submitting the form. So you can, after running the generator, you can just open your browser pointing to the route path that you just generate, and you can enter any values on the form, hit save, and all the values will be stored in the system. So you can access them later on within the application. Okay, so far we have seen the interactive mode, which is a little bit more flashy, since you can see the question and the answer entered by the user. But starting from now, I will show you how to execute command just passing inline arguments, which is way more faster. Make sure while executing command using the inline mode to pass the --no -interruption option. Okay? --no -interruption option. And in this case, let's take a look at how to generate a block using the generate plugin block command. Blocks in Drupal are plugins. Creating a plugin in Drupal could be a little tricky because you need to add annotations in order to the new block can be discoverable by the system. But again, you don't have to worry because Drupal Console can take care of adding them. What we are seeing here first is the command executed using inline mode. And we can also see the generated list files report. And at the very end, we can see the cache review message. What is happening here, while generating a block, we need to clear cache. So the generator is not only generating the files for you, it's also clearing the cache so the block is available immediately when you open your browser. Okay, as mentioned before, Drupal Console generation add the required plugin block type annotations. So the annotation is added for you. Using these annotations, we let know Drupal that we want to register a new block type. Okay, I've been showing you commands generating 2 or 3 files, which is probably not too impressive. But remember what I told you about complexity in Drupal 8? Adding an entity on Drupal 8 is a really complex task. So now we will use the generate entity content command to generate an entity. Why is this complex? Generating an entity is complex because you need to create or update about 15 files. Those files are classes, forms, routes definition, menu links, and etc. Also, entities are plugins and required to add the annotations block. Same as in the block generation, the Drupal console is adding the doc block for you. Just as a note, the generated entity is fillable from the UI and provides views integration. One of the latest commands we are currently working is the generate team. So this command allows you to generate a team. You can select from the base team you will be using, like Classy or 7, any other on the system. You can specify breakpoints, and you can add regions from here. And this command takes care of generating the info file, the team file, and the breakpoints YAML file for you. So it's just a basic starting from generating a team, but the Omar is currently working on improving this command, so we can probably see a huge improvement of this in upcoming releases. Okay, let's try to mention which other generators we have currently on the system. We have generators for entity configuration, which works kind of similar to what I showed about the entity configuration generator. We have permission generation. We have a lot of plugins now. So we have plugin field generator, field formatter generator, field type, field widget, image effect, rules action, and annotation type plugin. Another command that you will be using a lot probably is the generate service command. This command creates the service class for you and register the class as a service on the service container. So basically, create one class for you and register on the class in the module.services.yaml file. Well, we start the project as an scaffolding code generator, but eventually we have the need to test the generated code. For that reason, we add commands to interact with the Drupal installation. Let's talk about a few of the commands that we have for interacting with the system. We have the container debug command. Using this command, you can list the registered services on the service container within the current Drupal instance. So it means you can list all of the services, and you can see the service name on the left side, and you can see on the right side the class that is responding to that service. Similar to the previous example, the router debug command can help you listing the registered routes on the routing system. Again, within the current Drupal instance. And similar to the previous example, we have on the left, on the right side, the route name, and on the on the right side we have the path pointing to that route. If you can inspect a route definition just by passing the route name as an argument to the router debug command. So if you run something like route debug and then pass system.admin, which is a valid route name, you will see the route definition display on your CLI. Well, let's talk about the site mode command. You can turn on and off several caching configurations by switching your site to production/development mode using the site mode command. This command is useful when cloning a project to run in your local machine. If you just clone a project that is running in production and you want to run in the local environment, the first thing you want to do is just turn off all of the caching configuration. And as you can see, there's an error message there telling you error copying file. If you set the proper rights to the services YAML file, you can even turn on and off quick debugging. Okay, let's see other commands on the site namespace. So we have maintenance. You set maintenance, so you can turn on and off your site for maintenance. You can run site new to download the latest version of Drupal. And you can run site status command to see the status of your project. It tells you the version of your project, database connection, path of your configuration, active and staging configuration directories, tells you the current version of PHP. Basically tells you a lot of information within your current Drupal installation. As I mentioned, we have commands to interact the configuration system. So we have commands for debugging the configuration, editing values in the configuration, exporting the whole configuration, exporting a specific content type, exporting a single configuration key, exporting a view, and also importing the full configuration and importing a single configuration file. We can also provide the override command where you can override a whole set of configuration, and this will open your editor, the editor you configure in the configuration settings that I will show you in a few minutes how to change that. You will be able to modify all those values from the CLI. Okay, related to the user namespace, we have commands for clearing login attempts for an account. We have command for returning the one-time user login URL, commands for generating a hash from a plain text password, and also for resetting password for a specific user. Another great feature from Drupal Console is using this tool for learning purposes. How can you do something like this? I can imagine some of you are probably thinking and use the generated code to learn, using the generated code by Drupal Console and applying reverse engineering to learn Drupal 8. However, this approach could probably not be good enough. For that reason, we provide you with an option to provide an extra information to the generated code. This option is called the --learning option. When executing a command using the --learning option, additionally to the generated boilerplate code, a commented block messages will be added. This message will be describing the code functionality. Well, unfortunately, this option is only available for the generate controller command. But please let us know where do you think this option could be helpful, so we can add this in more sections of in more generators. As we can see here, the route definition is added, but also at the top we can see a commented code explaining what the code is doing. Well, probably at this point you think this project is kind of cool and you want to write your own integration. If you're a module maintainer, you can create an integration to take advantage of Drupal Console features. Okay, and the easy way to generate an integration is to execute the generate command. So we provide a command to generate commands, which is pretty nice. What you need to do is something like execute the generate command and this will happen. This command will generate all the boilerplate code to write a new command within your Drupal 8 module. From there, you can implement your business logic. Now let me tell you about the awesome web profiler project, which is implementing a Symfony web profiler component. The web profiler collects information from all requests. Using this project, you can see how long the page takes to load, how much memory was used, the number of SQL queries, the number of loaded forms and blogs, the current logged user, between other options, as you can see. This module was the first to take advantage of Drupal Console features. This module provides 3 commands, but I will talk about the web profiler benchmark command. This command allows you to execute several requests against your Drupal site and show you a result of the average execution time and consumed memory. The same thing, what you can see here is the web profiler namespace. So basically, this, once you download and install this command, these three commands will be immediately available in your system. So when you are writing an integration and adding commands to your module, you don't have to do nothing to register those commands. Those commands are automatically discovered and added to the console command, to the Drupal console, when the module gets installed. And as you can see here, the web profiler is providing 3 commands: benchmark, export, and list. Okay, I have mentioned you how to run individual commands, but if you're looking to automate command execution, you can use the chain command. Drupal console is under heavy development, and we're constantly adding new features based on our project needs and user feedback. One of the most recent features is the capability for commands to call all the commands. The need for this became clear when we were executing commands like generate controller and needed to execute another command. But we were executing that other command by hand, such as route or revealed, just to reveal the running system, and this new route get registered on the system. So instead of doing that manually, we have the idea to chain command execution within commands. When that functionality was completed, I have a discussion with the other project maintainers, and we came to the idea to create a command that could read a configuration file containing a queue and execute several commands based on the sequence defined in the configuration file. So we decide to use a standard YAML file extension and not go with something like chain extension, because we don't want to add a new Drupalism to the project. But how this command can help you? You can create your own chain command and define the command and the common Drupal 8 features you use while writing a Drupal 8 module, and execute one command to have all those features generated. As example, you can generate a chain file for you, and this can contain a generate module command, generate controller command, generate form command, generate service command. Just put it on this in one single YAML file, and then execute chain command and passing the file option and pointing to the path where this YAML file is located, and all of the commands registered on this YAML file will be executed with one command using only the chain command. Let's now talk about some tips to really take advantage of this project. And the first one is copy the configuration files. You can use the init command to copy the configuration files in your local system. Overriding values on this field is how you can change Drupal console behavior. So the file, once you run Drupal init command, the file will be copied to your home directory and the .console directory. Pro tip number 2, use multilingual feature. The Drupal console is multilingual. Just by changing the language value within your configuration file, like you just copy running the init command, you can run the project in any supported language. As you can see here, every single question can be translated. Do you remember the -- learning option I mentioned before? All the commented messages are also support this multilingual feature. As you can see here, the message in top of the rough definition is now in Spanish, same as the questions we saw in the previous. Pro tip number 2, use default values. You can set default values for commands, for command options and arguments. This is useful when you are working on a project and you don't want to type the module every single time you generate a component. Let's say you are working in your current project is called My Current Project, and you will be running generators several times, and you don't want to enter this module name every single time. Pro tip number 4, disable custom commands. Since any module can now provide and add an integration, and this integration can add commands to the project, you can disable those commands used to get loaded. Maybe this could be useful. Maybe a module is providing you a command, but this command is introducing errors or issues, so you can disable that broken module, and those commands won't be loaded in your current installation. So you can disable commands in a specific module. Pro tip number 4, use command alias. You can type less by taking advantage of the provided command aliases. So instead of writing catch rebuild, you can just type CR. Pro tip number 6, use the -- help option. You can run any command like generate module and then -- help, and this will happen. I really highly recommend you to use this help option to learn about provided options and arguments for each command. Pro tip number 7, use the generate-inline. Remember what I told you about running inline commands? You don't have to remember every single option. You can just run a command. You can just execute a command using the interactive mode just by passing the -- generate-inline option. The command will output the inline instruction at the end, and you can copy this to execute the next time. So you don't have to remember any single argument or option. Just run the command as usual, and use pass the -- generate-inline. Pro tip number 8, use the generate chain. Same as in the previous example, you can execute a command and just pass the -- generate -chain option, and the command will output the YAML code to copy and paste. This code could be used when executing the chain command. So you can execute a command, just copy the code from here, paste it in your YAML file, and call it using the chain command. Pro tip number 9. Okay, if you create an integration with your module and want to generate a markdown representation of your command definition, you can pass the generate doc option, the -- generate -doc option. This will output a valid markdown code that you can copy and paste in your module readme file. Okay, I told you the router debug and container debug and config debug output is not the very best in the world, but you can take advantage of tools like Pickle. Pickle is an interactive filtering tool. You can run Drupal router debug and then Pickle, and the output will look something like this. What you're seeing here is the output using Pickle. You have pretty much the same output. Left side we have in this case the route name, and the right side we have the path, but Pickle provides us with a filtering feature, and also you can use errors to select, using errors to selection. We can use errors to selecting a specific result, and if you hit enter here, then the route debug command will be executed again, and you will be passing the route name, and then the route definition will be shown. Well, I mentioned you about integration. That's all I have about for tips today. I mentioned about integration using as example the web profile module, and now I'd like to talk about contribution. Anyone can contribute. You can add new features, you can write your own integration with your module, you can improve translation and documentation, but first you need to get the code, right? Getting the project code is just easy as following these 3 steps. First, fork the project. Second, clone your fork. And 3, just download dependencies. Again, first, you need to fork the project. I'm providing the link for the repo in GitHub. Second, you just run the git clone command to fork the project in your local machine. And the very last one, the third one, is just run compulsory install for downloading all the dependencies. Before committing your code or your changes or improvements or new features to the project, I want to tell you something. Since Drupal Console is not a Drupal module, it's a Symfony application, project code might look something different than we're used to because we are following BSR2 coding style. But don't worry, the generated code is Drupal coding style. We are also using tools for analyzing the quality of the code, the project code. We are using Sensio Insight for analyzing the code, and we're using Travis to run the unit test on the sent PRs. So we are sure, your changes are not breaking the project before getting merged. We are starting to use this PHP QA tool to analyze the code before committing the repo. I'm providing the link of the project, as you can see here. This tool helps you analyze and run code sniffers to fix the code and tells you if there's some fixes you can implement. It also takes care of running PHP unit. So basically, it takes care of running several PHP QA tools in the base code. You could run this tool manually just by running PHP QA analyze and passing -- file and pointing to the directory or a specific file to be scanned. Or you can maybe set up this in a pre-commit Git hook and use the -- git option to scan all the files added on the Git index. Okay, now let's talk about people currently contributing to the project. This is the Hall of Fame of Drupal Console. Without these people, I won't be speaking here. And you might be wondering where those people are from. As you can see, this is mostly a Latin American project, and this is a proof of region can create technology to share with the rest of the world. Yeah, but with your help, we can create this project, and we can make this a better, way much better project. Okay. Now let's talk about, spreading the word in love. Okay, all the help we can get. Please help us. Please help us by using the project, and love it or hate it, let us know. You can help us by providing feedback, asking for features, creating issues, and sending pull requests. You can also help us by talking and tweeting about this project. And probably, if you see me talking in an event, ask me for a sticker. So we used to bring stickers for every single time that we do a presentation. Unfortunately, I cannot provide you stickers when it's online. Okay, I'll talk to you what the current state of the project is. So I'm just go ahead and talk about the roadmap. I'm just wrapping up this presentation. Okay, the roadmap. Which features we have planned for future development? We are currently working on the first 4 that I mentioned. The last 4 is only in the planning stage. The first one, we are working on the remote command execution. Yeah, I know, something like you already know from Josh. So you will be able to execute Drupal console command in a remote site. We are hardly working on increased code coverage, so we are getting close to a better percent. We are planning to be at least have all of the commands, including code coverage for all of the commands prior to the final 1.0 release. Okay, another feature we know we really work to, and we are currently doing a lot of investigation on, is multi-site support. Because we know a lot of sites still using multi-site support in Drupal 8, so we are working on it. And we are constantly working on improving documentation and translation. In here, I'll take this as an opportunity to ask you to help us translate to your mother tongue. Okay, we know we need to improve verbose code output, so I'll keep asking you, try the project, let us know which pieces of the code the generic code are kind of complex or hard to understand, so we can add definition and links to the documentation using the dash learning option. Another feature we are discussing is dummy content generation. I know, same as the bell. But we're planning to use either Faker project, or there's another project in GitHub called default content. And we're also discussing providing, well, this is something already happening, the import export, the config station. It's kind of working, but we are heavily working on actually for improving this. And another thing we're planning to is having content station, so you can import and export content from one site to other. So where you can see what are we doing. So what features are currently working at. You can just visit in the milestone URL on the Git repo, and you can see the current status of the project. And I want to talk to you about web profiler integration. But now we'll list two other modules with plans or currently working on implementing Drupal Console commands. The first one is the meta tag module. That module is currently working on adding commands for integrating with Drupal Console. The rules module is another one. I've been talking to the rules maintainers and seeing like this will happen. And why not? Have your module here. If you want to grant integration, feel free to ping us, and we can help you. Okay. At this point, you're probably some of you are worried or wondering about overlapping with Drush, but I can tell you, you don't need to worry. Let's work together to make awesome tool even better. Yeah. We have a Drush integration. I spent almost 2 days working with Greg Anderson, a Drush maintainer at Pantheon offices, and we made a Drupal Console Bootstrap. We made changes on the Drupal Console Bootstrap, and we provided an integration with Drush. So now, using Drush, well, if you patch using this pull request, if you patch Drush using this pull request, you can use Drush and register Drupal Console command, and you can execute any single Drupal Console command using Drush. This means you can use Drush alias to execute a Drupal Console command. And we are going to be sprinting at Badcamp in Berkeley. So anyone who wants to pitch is welcome to join us. Just one more thing before wrapping up. I'd like to talk about a Planet feature. As I mentioned before, the goal of this project is to provide a tool easy to use for everyone. And we know not everyone feels comfortable with the CLI. So we are planning to have a GUI for the CLI. So we really want to make this tool even more accessible to all site administrators of Drupal 8. We know adding a GUI for Drupal Console as an alternative to the CLI will be really helpful for site builders. So this could be especially useful for site builders and site administrators who wanted to take advantage of this tool without the need of using the command line interface. This will be a separate project, a separate website, and you will be able to get into this site and select the pieces of components or the components you want to generate, and just by click download, we will provide you with a downloadable compressed file containing the generated code. And just before jumping into the last slide for asking questions, I want to invite you to join us at DrupalCon Asia Springs. Eduardo Garcia, one of the maintainers, will be attending. So, and I will be also be probably attending. That's not 100% sure, but probably it will depend on based on the Drupal Console session get accepted or not. When I get some sponsorship with that, join us at the DrupalCon sprints and help us make this project even better. I think that's all I have. So I think it's time for questions and feedback. And feel free to stop me and ask me any questions here. And also using my Twitter handle, JMOLIVAS, or the Drupal Console Twitter handle. And I just want to say thank you for being here and spending the time listening to me talking about this project.
Wow, that was a great session. Thank you so much, Jesus, for sharing these examples of all the commands that can be used and sharing how we can actually develop faster and smarter in Drupal 8 using Drupal Console. I'm sure our participants would be able to implement these learnings really well. Moving on, we have received many questions so far. So since we are already running towards the end of the webinar, we'll really try to work with the 1 minute per question time frame and keep it short. So I'll start with I'll just quickly jump on to the first question, which is by Dante. She would really like you to actually dig a little deeper into Drupal 8 and share if we really need to know PHP to work with Drupal 8, because Drupal 7 was easy with that interface.
Well, it's not that Drupal 8 is, well, obviously you need to know PHP in order to create a module or do some backend development. And you need to know you need to have a better understanding of object-oriented and how the Symfony components work. But fortunately, you can use this tool to generate, the required code for building components like blogs, plugin, and read them and just have a better understanding of what you need to, how your code needs to look like. But yeah, basically you need to know the language in order to be able to code on that specific language.
All right, thank you so much. We'll just quickly take up our next question. Before that, I'd like to remind you guys that you can also take this conversation live on Twitter using our hashtag SrijanWW and tag us in your tweets at @Srijan. You can also tag Jesus. His Twitter handle is given on your screen, which is JMOlivas. Our next question again is by Dante, who wants to know how is it going to be the relation, as in the relation between Drupal 8 and headless Drupal?
Well, headless Drupal is only a of Drupal. We have commands to enable and disable REST endpoints and other commands related to the REST namespace that you can just call like Drupal list command and then passing the REST namespace. But yeah, you can enable and disable endpoints. You can enable disable views, which can provide you, JSON output. But now this is separated. This is more like for generating components of Drupal 8 and for interacting with the system, like listing the services, the routes, listing configuration and updating configuration within your Drupal installation. But there is a project that I will tweet once we finish the session. This project is maintained by Eduardo Garcia, one of the Drupal Console maintainers. He wrote a backbone plus Marinette plus something else generator. So this generator takes care of exposing, a REST application from using Drupal 8. So I'll take care of tweeting that once we finish the session.
All right, thank you so much. That would be great. Dante, if you have a follow-up question, please feel free to type in. Meanwhile, we'll move on to our next question. Nasir wants to know if Drupal Console can be used to migrate a module or theme from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8.
Now, in order to migrate or update your module, there is a module upgrader project. I think it's called Drupal Module Upgrader. That project helps you migrate your code with Drupal 7 code to Drupal 8. But now this project can help you to generate a new one, which at some point maybe will be healthier to do, because you can generate the code and basically give all the boilerplate code and just copy and paste the code you need, or probably write the project you need following more PHP modern standards, like injecting the service instead of using a global function, all that. So you can use this project in order to take care of that features of Drupal 8 in order to build a modern version of your module. But yeah, I know there's another project. Unfortunately, Drupal Console is not doing that. It's not our focus or our goal. There's another project already doing that, and our goal is to provide a tool to create a module and introspect the system and learn Drupal, not to migrate modules.
All right. If you have a follow-up question, Nasir, please feel free to type in. Meanwhile, our next question is by Subhojit, who wants to know if we can generate tests using the Drupal console.
Okay. When you can generate tests while generating the controller, it's only a basic test, and I think there is an opportunity to improve the project here. So feel free to ping me on Twitter or support channel. That you can find our support channel in the website drupalconsole.com, and I can guide you to how and help you to improve this feature. But yes, you can generate tests. Actually, the only command generating test is the generate controller command.
Okay, we have a flurry of questions, so we really try to take up as many questions as we can right now. Our next question again is by Subhojit, who wants to know: Are there any commands for generating REST APIs?
Well, there's commands for enabling and disabling REST endpoints, and hold me a second. There is a command. Let me give you the right name. I'm just running console on my computer. It's called generate REST resource. So you can generate a resource. REST resource, and from there you can add your business logic to it. And as I mentioned, you have REST debug and REST disable and REST enable. So you can enable and disable REST endpoints. But then you can generate REST resources from using console, and then you just need to add the code. So I just want to make clear, this project helps you generate the boilerplate code. It's basically generating the blueprints for you, but you need to fill the blanks. So you need to put your business logic on it. So this project can help you saving time with the boring tasks that you don't want to do over and over again, but you still need to add your business logic code to that generated code by this project.
All right. Looks like we'll be overshooting the time limit. I would really like to tell you guys that we really appreciate your time and genuinely respect it, and we'd appreciate your patience. Please bear with us, and we'll try to take up rest of the questions really quickly. Our next question is by Gaurajit, who wants to know: Will Drupal console overpower Drush in future? Because there are many similar or superior Drush commands. Similar things to Drush commands.
Well, we have the issue that I mentioned. We are working on the integration, so now you can call Drush commands. Drupal console command from Drush. You can even run Drush within Drupal console, and we are working together. As I mentioned, we are working together for make awesome tool even better. And at this point, there's been discussions. We talked during DrupalCon. We talk about how we can work together, how we can take advantage. The main difference of both projects is that Drush need to take care of Drupal 6 and 7, and they are planning to support Backdrop. And it's not like we don't care those projects. We love those projects, but we are focusing and following and only supporting Drupal 8 because it's built in the same as Drupal 8. Drupal Console is built on top of Symfony components, and we're following all these modern PHP standards. And that's thing for us. It's easy to move, add new features. But no, it's not like we're planning to like like override any feature. So we are providing only the features that we need. And basically, what we are doing, Drupal Console is doing is it's kind of reusing features or functionality provided by Drupal. So basically, we just call a service or something already registered in Drupal. You just take advantage of it. So kind of ask Drupal 8 site for something, a service or a manager or something doing a specific task. And we just reuse that functionality. And basically, Drupal Console is only a grabber for Drupal 8 API.
All right, thank you so much, Jesus. Our next question is by Jamie, who wants to know, so many of the features of this tool appear to be developer focused. So what do we need a GUI for? Command line runs so much faster and it seems much more practical. What would you say to that, Jesus?
Well, I know you love CLIs and I love CLIs, but there's some people who feels afraid of CLI and is not that savvy with it. So this UI, this website will be basically an interface to interact with the CLI. You will be able to, have the same interaction and questions to the UI, and just execute Drupal console in the background. And we are providing this because we want to make this tool available for everyone, not only for people who is like backend developers or for people who is like who love CLIs. We know site builders are sometimes afraid of CLI, and that's why we want to provide this functionality. And we basically have pretty much all the backend solved because we have this chain command. So basically, this GUI site will be only putting all the pieces together, creating this huge chain YAML file for us, and we'll be calling the Drupal console, calling this new file generated from the browser, execute the chain command, and packaging all this into a tar GZ, and provide it with a downloadable file.
Okay, our next question is, can Drupal console generate code for implementing Drush command?
No, we don't. We are not. We can probably add a generator for that. I mean, if we can open an issue for that, if people think that will be useful, we can do that without problem. But actually, it's not generating Drush commands. It's only generating console commands.
Okay, our next question is by Subhujit. He wants to know some commands that I saw, like config.export, user.login.url, etc. We can also do the same things using Drush. So how are they different?
I haven't taken a look at Drush code in a while, so I have no idea if they are taking advantage of what Drupal 8 provides. Probably they are. So I cannot tell you the difference between code, but basically the advantage of running within Drupal console is if you already have Drupal console in your site, you don't need to switch tools for running that command.
All right. So Vujit, I would suggest that you can get in touch with Jesus after the webinar, maybe through the through his Twitter handle, and he should be able to, maybe check out the Drush command and then give you a better answer. Jesus, I hope that would be all right with you.
Yeah, we can spend more time taking a look at both. But basically, as I mentioned, Drupal console is only like a grabber interface from what Drupal 8 services provide. So we use a method or a function that Drupal 8 provides, and only call that and passing like the user ID, enter within the user interaction while running the command, and Drupal 8 return this URL. So it's not like we have a lot of code within the commands. We want to avoid that. We want to really take advantage of what Drupal 8 is already providing.
All right. So we have two similar questions. I'll take the one that's been sent by Jamie. He's asking, I do admit that there are so many possible commands that they seem rather overwhelming. So is there a tool to automate the selection of commands like an autocomplete in a GUI?
Yeah, there is an issue. Actually, there is a pull request for that. We are working on providing autocomplete feature. It's currently working on Bash, but I love Fish shell, and we are currently working on be able to provide this within different like shell implementations. So we currently have a Bash. We working. We are planning to make it work with Fish. So yeah, there is a project to make this autocomplete available, and we are working on it. We're working on the implementation. You can visit the site pull request and see how this pull request is being. How it is the status of the pull request. And again, feel free to take a look and send improvements.
Okay, thank you so much. Our next question is by the vendor who wants to know, uh, can we actually create some common commands using the Drupal console? Can we make a script of some common commands using the Drupal console?
Well, you can create your custom commands within your module. You can create this chain command for calling different commands. You can mix and match. So you can mix your custom command with your module, and then a core Drupal console command. And actually, after a discussion with the site audit maintainer, we will be providing global commands, so you can register command outside of Drupal console project, or either outside of a Drupal module. So we are just defining where, so you will be able to create like standalone commands that you can run using Drupal console. And actually, most of the commands are only available within a Drupal site installation root directory, but there are a few commands that are standalone commands, like downloading Drupal. You don't need Drupal because you don't have it, you're planning to download. So we have commands, it's like standalone commands, or how we call it standalone, because they don't need Drupal to do that. So you can really take advantage of Symfony console component using this tool, because this project is based on the Symfony console component, and create your own script commands without the need of interacting with Drupal.
Okay, all right. We'll very quickly take the last set of questions here. Shibin wants to know regarding remote execution, since Drush already has that feature and Drupal console can be used with Drush, so wouldn't it be technically possible to use Drupal console on remote servers as well?
Yes, you have it. That's the reason we want to provide this remote command execution. You can use aliases to run Drupal console into several sites within your local machine without moving to that specific Drupal 8 root, using the site alias execution. And that's not merge and master, is currently a pull request. So if you want to test that one, you need to like get the code of the pull request. But yeah, once we have that feature on merge into the master branch, we will be contacting the. Well, first we'll be creating a video using probably like a virtual machine to show you how to execute those commands via SSH connection. And probably the next step will be like contacting the host providers, to the main Drupal host providers to provide Drupal console within their installation, so you'll be able to remote execute commands remotely. But yeah, you need to have Drupal console installed on the server or on the machine that you are pointing to, using the remote command execution.
Okay, all right. Our next question is by Theodoros. He's asking, does it support, when he's saying it, I'm assuming it's Drupal console. Does it support site aliases that can be used for commands like drush?
Yes, it supports those site aliases. So basically, you can use this either for executing Drupal console commands within a site in your local machine or a site in an external machine. But as I mentioned before, this is still not merged into master. We are still doing a lot of fixes and improvements, but you can visit the project repo at GitHub, take a look at the pull request, and you will see a pull request for that, and you can take a look at that. Just get the code in your local machine and test it. So once we finish this webinar, the questions, I will start tweeting about, the links that I mentioned here, like the link for the pull request of the site alias implementation, and the link for the autocomplete pull request implementation.
All right, that would be great, Jesus. It would also be even better if you can actually use our hashtag SrijanWW, so our participants will find it easier to search for your tweets that are specific to everything that you have mentioned in this webinar.
Sure, I'll do that. I will tweet it using the hashtag.
Great. So we have last two questions which we'll really quickly take up. One is by Somnath, who's asking, is it possible to create or manage views using the Drupal console?
Again, sorry?
Somnath wants to know if it is possible to create or manage views using Drupal console.
Yes. We provide a few commands with views integration. So we have this views debug, so you can list all of the views registered on your Drupal installation. You can enable or disable views using Drupal Console, and we provide you a config export view command, so you can export all these your views configuration, and you can probably use the config import single command for importing all these views YAML definition into another website. But yes, we provide at least 4 commands for interacting with views. And again, if there's a nice feature you think will be useful for us to implement, feel free to add a issue on the project repo at GitHub, and we'll take care.
Great, I'm sure everybody would really like that. So guys, please fill in your issues if you want to recommend special or if you want to give in your request for the Drupal console. So we'll quickly take up our last question here by Shibin, who wants to know if you have tried Drupal console with any continuous integration tools.
Yes. We've been using something called Strider. Yeah, at some point we will be able to create a kind of screencast or something whenever we have time to using this. Since you can use the Drupal Composer project to get Drupal and get Drupal console installed, you can basically easily implement this using a CI tool. You can basically run your continuous integration or your continuous delivery tool, run the Drupal Composer, something like Composer, create project, and then map to the Drupal Composer template, get Drupal console, and from there you can run commands, several commands, and probably getting the configuration or importing configurations in the site. Actually, since Composer support PostScript commands, what you can probably do is to create a execute a chain command with several commands defined into YAML file, and just execute the chain command and execute several commands at once. Something like, run this create project to create a project, and then run chain for for executing, I don't know, probably importing migrations, enabling, disabling modules, and probably clearing cache and anything you can imagine. So because you can now execute, all this in once. But yeah, we just tested the other day with the Strider CD. We're still like in a earlier stage, but at some point we'll be working on a screencast or probably a blog post. Hey, yeah, I didn't mention that, but you can visit my blogs, jmolibas.com, and this probably end up into either a blog post or a screencast, how to take advantage of Drupal Console using a CI tool.
All right. Well, that was a really, really great session and a very interesting and slightly longer, but seriously interesting question answer round. Thank you once again, Jesus, for leading such a knowledgeable session and answering all the questions very, very patiently. We are sure everybody found your presentation very interesting and insightful. A big thank you to all the attendees for joining us today and being so patient. You all have been a great audience. Before we close, I would also like to announce that our next webinar is on business success formula. So, where you will learn how you can build a website that truly works for you, which would be hosted on 14th of October and would be led by Mark Isaacson, a freelance Drupal developer who specializes as a backend developer and focuses on creating custom web applications and acting as a team lead for larger projects. For registrations and more details, you will be getting a mail from our site. So stay tuned and thank you again for joining us today.